Hi, this is James from the Hornbill Professional Services team, and this is a short tutorial to show you how to configure session parameters, which is basically a filter based on who's currently logged on to the Supportworks client. So we're using the 760 Enterprise client, and this is ITSM 3.4. However, this will apply to all application versions and all platform versions. So what I'm going to show you is effectively a filter within the service desk view. Here you can see that out of the box it does filter to a particular level for the likes of the incident view or the service request view, etc. So I'm going to go through 4 different filters that we can add in based on the analyst ID and group ID. So I'm going to go into the data dictionary, so within administration, then edit current data dictionary, expand global parameters, then views. Within the help desk view, this is where you'll configure your views. You've got top and bottom. Of course, top directly for this information here, the my incidents, my major incidents, my operational tasks, my tasks, and obviously bottom for the service requests, problems, changes, releases. So in this instance, I'm not going to do it for the incidents view, but of course you can apply exactly the same filters to the other views. So here you can see there is a filter parameter, and by default it's coming up with this information here in terms of only viewing open calls where it's an incident and where it's not a major incident. Here you can add a parameter, so if I go space then and then what you can do is owner equals apostrophe ampersand square bracket analyst ID, like that. If I click on OK, then save. It's just going to take a minute to save. So what this will do is this will apply a filter to the incidents view for all analysts, so that it will only show calls assigned to you. So you'll see exactly what I mean by this when we browse our calls once this has been saved. What you do have to bear in mind is this will apply this filter to the no filter. So you can see in the top right hand side it says no filter. Once you choose a separate filter, obviously this could change. Okay, so now we're back into the client and we've refreshed the data dictionary. What we can see is that the incidents list here has gone down. So this is only showing calls that is actually in my queue and is assigned to a analyst. So this is my queue ready to complete. If I assign one of these calls across to the general support queue, then you can see that it's gone down. If I click on the top level of the general support, you'll see that it's still only showing my calls. If I click on me in particular, then again it's showing my calls. Take for instance this management queue. It's not my queue, however administrator is. If I assign it to Bob Jones, it's not going to show it because it's not my call. I can see my calls only. So if I assign one from my main queue here and assign it to the group that I'm also a member of, I can see it. Again, from the group, I won't be able to see group calls, but only calls that are assigned to me. So this can be quite handy just purely because you can see what's currently outstanding for you. For many filters in Supportworks, it can be difficult to just pick out which ones have your action. I mean, you could see calls that are assigned to your group, it could be from subgroups. There's so many different options and filters that you can add on to here. This can be quite handy purely to just pick out your calls. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go back into the data dictionary, so administration, edit current data dictionary, and then expand global parameters and views and help desk view, and select into the top view, then incidents view, double click on your filter. So now we're going to change our added filter to be and subgroup, which is the support group, equals group ID. So same sort of format there with the ampersand, etc. So it's and subgroup equals apostrophe ampersand open bracket group ID close bracket apostrophe. If I click OK and save that. So what this will do is this will only show your primary group calls. So you'll see exactly what I mean by here once we have a look at the calls. Okay, so now that's done, so I'm just going to click on OK. And what I'm going to show you is the calls. You can see that now if I go to my administrator queue, I can't see it. I can't see none in that particular group. However, I can see when I go to my particular queue here, I've got my own particular call, resolve call, and a few group calls. If I assign one of these group calls to my queue, I can still see it. So you can see here that what this has done is it's showing my calls and my group's calls. And if I go into the group queue here, it's showing again my calls and the group's calls. If we have a look at my other group here, you can see that there's no calls in the group as well as the individual queue. So if I try and move one of these calls to the group, so call reference number 4 into the management group, you'll see that I still can't see it. This has only done it based on the actual main group that I'm a part of. So remember, you can set that up from the home group in the properties. That's the same for if I assigned a call into the queue here, into the administrator queue. I can't see it. It's showing that there is one down here, but I can't see it from a list here purely because the filter has filtered them out. Okay, so now let's apply a separate filter, which is, I probably think this is probably the most useful one. So if I go into, again, the incidents view, and now what I'm going to show you is back to owner equals session dot analyst ID. So it's and owner equals apostrophe ampersand square bracket session dot analyst ID close bracket apostrophe and save. What this will do is it will show only the calls that are in that particular area. So again, we'll see exactly what that means when we save this data dictionary. One thing to remember with the data dictionary is when you do make changes, remember to restart the SWHTTP server service. Okay, so I'm going to click on OK there. So now if I refresh the data dictionary, so you can see that none are actually currently in my instance list, so I can show you exactly the reason why for that. But if I go into the general support list, I can see a few in here. So if I assign one of these group calls to my admin queue, I'll be able to see it. If I go back to the group queue, you can see it's simply showing the group's calls. So what this means is if there's calls assigned to an individual, then you can only view that from the individual queue. If there's calls assigned to the group, you only see the group's calls. So you won't see the individual's calls underneath here. I think that can be quite handy. And the same goes for any other groups, so it's not dependent, unlike the other setting, on your primary group. You will see the individual's calls under their particular queue and the group's calls under the group queue. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you here is another filter. However, it's not actually based on the data dictionary, it's based in a setting when you right click on the view here. Basically what it allows you to do is view the calls in your subgroup. So you can see from the top level here I have general support, then I have a subgroup underneath it with test analyst. So if I assign a call directly from our general support group into the test analyst group, which is our subgroup, you will see that we can't actually see again this number 5. Sorry, was it number 5? Yes. So we can't see the call reference number 5 in our general support list here. If I click on test analyst, you can see it. If I click on the subgroup, you can see it. However, you can't see it from the actual parent group. Now you do actually have an option in the right click when you go to show subgroup calls. So if I click that, you will then see it in the list. So you won't see it from the administrator's queue here because it's assigned to an analyst. However, you can see it from the group here. If I assign number 5 to subgroup, you can see it from the analyst queue. So one helpful tool that you can use to help you with filters is in the help menu. So if you go to help, Supportworks help, if you search for context variables, and you have an option down here that says standard context variables, appendix B. If you click on that and just maximize that, so you can see here some helpful information that you can get in regards to the different session and analyst ID kind of variables, and even some date information here that you can help with, start of the week, end of the week, etc. So you can build these into your filters on your data dictionary.